Well, everyone, welcome to the Dad Holiday Special. My name is Travis Goodman. I'm your co-host along here with...
My name is Kelly Jean-Philippe, and I'm the other co-host. And we are here along with so many other men, some of which I've met and others that I'm meeting for the first time. But Travis, you know everybody who's on this call.
Yeah, so I know all these guys. So this is a special evening for myself, and really, for those that have been listening to my show, I've been on a journey of just interviewing fathers and men and talking about fatherhood journeys and mental health. And I've had the opportunity to meet all of these men, and we really met through social media of Instagram, that platform, which there's good that comes out of social media. And this, there is, and this is one of those good, rich things that I think is incredible. And I've had conversations with all of these guys, and I can't wait for you all to hear from them. They're all incredible fathers, men. They all have hearts and passions to help fathers and men. They all have a unique perspective. And the cool thing is we are literally meeting with men from across the globe. And so I'm going to start off with just having guys introduce themselves tonight, give them a little intro to who they are, and then we're going to get started with the show tonight. So let's go ahead and start with, let's just go from West Coast to East Coast. So I'm Travis, for those who are new to the show. I have two boys, a 4 and 2-year-old, with one on the way coming in about 3 to 4 weeks. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. We're waiting for birth. We're going to see what happens. So I'm either going to have 3 boys or a girl will round us out, and then I'm making an appointment to
not have a feeling.
You go disconnect.
So that's me. So with my disconnect, I'll have Andrew jump in there. Sorry, Hector jump in there since he's in California as well. So Hector, jump on.
Yeah, what's going on? My name's Hector Jimenez. I am a father of 4 girls. I have twin 6-year-olds, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And my wife and I have been married for 10 years. And live in Southern California, Los Angeles. I co-host a podcast called Her Best Dad Ever, a podcast geared towards girl dads, where we interview girl dads who've been doing it longer than we have, just seeking wisdom, seeking advice. Actually met Travis through social media, was able to be featured on his podcast, and excited to be here right now to just talk about being a dad, man. It's a blessing, it's a gift, and excited to be here.
Yeah, I guess that makes me next. I'm Andrew McFarland. I have 2 boys. I have a 5-year-old and a 2.5-year-old, Eli and Blake, and I've been married to my wonderful, supportive wife for 7 years, and I run an Instagram and blog called The Pop-Up Perspective. I've been doing that for the last 4 years or so, just kind of sharing how dads can be more involved, as well as all of the crazy, funny things that come with fatherhood and parenthood. And it's been a wild ride so far, but lots of fun, lots of learning. And I share all the things that I learn along the way to hopefully help other dads that are wondering how to be a better dad in their own life for their own kids, and with a focus on how you can maintain that relationship with your kids all the way through adulthood.
Awesome. I love that, man. That's awesome. And I didn't share. I've been married 11 years with my wife. I forgot about the wife, and I can't forget about her. She's the most important thing running this household with people. So I am so sorry, babe, if you're hearing this. I'm gonna.
We can edit that because there's no couch that's that comfortable.
Nope.
And I forgot to share too. I should have shared too that 4 kids, but like Travis said, I actually have had a vasectomy, so I am done.
Smart. And my wife just bugged me about making the appointment a couple hours ago. So
hey, there you go. Okay,
there we go. We're all on the same page.
So part 2 of the holiday special and the New Year's resolution will be a vasectomy episode with all 6 of us. So that'll be
y'all aren't ready. Y'all aren't ready for that episode.
Oh my God, y'all are crazy. My name's Jason Linton. I go by the name Dad Life Jason on the social media of Instagram, and I'm also a very, very active creator on TikTok. I have been married for 14 years to my lovely wife, Patience, who is watching TikToks right now and laughing in the background. We have 3 adopted children that we adopted through foster care. The oldest is 12. Pray for me. Then I have a girl. We have our boy in the middle at 10 years old, and then our baby girl at 6, who is in most of my videos. And yeah, it's been a fun adventure, and I like to tell the story of how we came together and kind of illustrate some of our communications through videos, and just share some of those tender moments and some of the funny moments as well, through social media and through short form video content.
She's a cutie, bro.
Dude.
Thank you, man. She's a spark, I tell you. We just watched the movie, and it was like Trolls, and she's watching this when the trolls finally get captured, and she's like really into it, and she starts crying, and I'm like, whoa, like she's crying, and mom's like, hey, what's wrong? She was like, nothing. She's like, tell us about your feelings. She was like, it's just really, really sad. And so just to see those emotions being able to be voiced and coming out has been a pretty cool adventure.
That's pretty dope. My name is Kelly. I run a podcast called Welcome to Fatherhood Podcast. I've been married with my lovely wife for 3 years. We have a 17-month-old who swears. I mean, the kid swears that he is about to be 21 years old. And I have to keep reminding him to try Jesus and not me. But he still wants to try me. So, that's the phase where we are at right now. But he's a joy to deal with. From Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, so they say. And what else were we supposed to say? Oh, my vasectomy story is coming up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's coming up.
It is.
Yeah. So my wife and I are trying for a second one, and the bargain is after the second one, I volunteered to go straight to the doctor's office, drop my pants, and be like, bro, do what you got to do. So that's what I'm going to do. Yeah.
Well, it's going to be a great podcast when we're all there. It'll be fun.
Top that, Matt.
Yeah.
I don't think I can. Oh my gosh. Right. So my name's Matt. I'm over here in the UK, where we actually speak the Queen's proper English in them ones, but a bit of slang just blatantly ruin that. I'm over here in the UK in the outskirts of London, known as Essex to those that are familiar with the area. Got a beautiful little boy who's just turned 2.5, and have a wonderful wife who we just celebrated our 11th year anniversary. However, I'm hoping I blow you guys out of the water. I've been with her 20 years. So, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, she doesn't know any better. I just keep her locked away. She don't know anyone like Morris Chestnut or none of that. So as far as she's concerned, I am the bomb. So she ain't going to see this podcast because I don't want to see you guys because, boy, she would know she's let down royally. But yeah, a vasectomy story, boy, do you know what? That's... I would like to think in the future I might have another one, but making an official statement like that, it's a bit of a commitment, I got married already. That's a commitment as it is, but then getting disconnected, as we've once used a phrase before. But then the financial aspect of having more children might push a brother to make that decision that maybe I should just, reconsider that. But yeah, that's my story. You can find me on Music Football Fatherhood, which is a fatherhood platform where we have open conversations. I'm working on sorting out my own podcast. I've got 2 in the work at the moment, where I just share my thoughts and have people jump on and have discussions. But I'll let you guys know in future when I kind of cemented that.
That's awesome.
Perfect. Awesome.
That's great, man. Okay, so I figure we can start by talking about our growing up experience or experiences around the holiday. Hector, why don't you get us started, please?
Yeah, no problem. So for me, and I have a lot of fun memories of Christmas and the holidays. I know, I had both my parents in the home. I had 3 siblings there. And, not only that, but, we lived in a small town and a lot of my family lived there. So had, my aunts and uncles and, grandmas, grandpas and stuff. So a lot of really good memories around the holidays. One of the, main traditions we had specifically for Christmas was Christmas Eve. Everyone would come over. my mom and my grandmother would cook, and we'd exchange presents and yeah, just have that time, have that community time. So a lot of really fun memories for the holidays for me that that I look back on often.
Andrew, what was it like for you?
Yeah, for us, it's very, very similar. I felt extremely blessed to have two parents, and I had myself and then three siblings. And I just remember always loving to try to sneak a peek at all the presents and try to catch Santa in the act. And I loved like waking up in the morning, always super excited for Christmas morning and raiding the stockings. And then my mom always had some sort of special. Instead of doing some like big fancy dinner, breakfast was our thing. So we had stockings and then like a big, huge, fun breakfast. And then afterwards we went and did presents. And the way we did presents was every single person like did one at a time from like oldest to youngest. We actually, surprisingly as kids, and kind of enjoyed that because I know, right? Like you think kids see a bunch of presents, they want to just find what's theirs and open everything. But we were kind of trained by my parents and eventually grew to like it because it made the morning seem like it lasted forever. And it wasn't until like it was like a 2-hour process opening presents and then the anticipation for the next one and everything was just super fun. And then I also remember Christmas Eve. I grew up in San Diego, in like North County, San Diego, and we would drive up to Orange County and visit my grandparents, and all the family in Southern California would congregate there. And we would always our tradition was Domino's Pizza for some reason. Maybe because my grandparents and parents and everyone was like, I don't want to cook. But it just kind of became a thing. It was always expected. And so it was always just pizza and exchanging gifts. And we always read the night before Christmas, and everyone had special little parts, and it was super goofy and fun. And everyone just kind of laughed and had a really good time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, super fond memories.
That's awesome.
How about you, Jason?
My childhood Christmas memories are all just good, fun memories. I had a large family, Jamaicans. So in the morning, we're talking like 5 o'clock in the morning, get up, got to go to church in the morning for sunrise service for Christmas. I did not enjoy doing that because it was cold and all that. We had to go out and warm up the church band and everything. We go to church.
What time would you guys be like getting out the house?
Oh, get up at 5. You'd be out the house like maybe 5:30.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And you head up. Yeah, it was early. Like, yeah. And so we'd get up, go up to church. They'd have like maybe some hot chocolate or something up there, and they'd pray, tell the Christmas story, hug everybody, and then we'd leave by around maybe 7 o'clock and come back home. And when we came back home, Mom was already up getting ready with the food for the morning, and we'd have like this big Jamaican breakfast with dumplings and all types of delicacies that you could only imagine. and after that, we'd have, friends and family over. We would vibe together, just watch TV, watch Christmas movies and stuff. And then after that, we would all get in the car and drive a long distance over to my aunt's house, which had everybody else. And there we would do the gift giving. So I would not see any Christmas gifts until like 7 or 6 at night on Christmas Day. Like it was, wow. I learned patience. Like I didn't fuss about it.
Ironically, you married patience.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah, there you go.
I tell her that her name is like a cosmic prank.
It was your eternal gift.
Yeah. And so that was my childhood. We is really gathered around music. My dad with the record player playing some, I don't even know what's her name, Sandy Page or something, like some of the old Nat King Cole stuff. And that was the only time of the year that I was allowed to touch the records and touch the record player. So it was like, I could see, it was like a Wonder Years scene. Like, okay, son, here, you take out the record. Don't pull it too fast because the paper will scratch the record. I'm looking at him, putting it on the middle, making sure that the RPMs is right. Is this the 45? Yes, that's the 45. You put the things on. And I kind of like, now I kind of regret that technology has gone that far that we don't get to enjoy those simple annoyances. But it was a fun thing to have as a kid. I can
Nowadays,
remember
we
that
have like
very
big screen
vividly.
TVs that we have to look after now.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody's got one in their room now, and it's streaming. What happened to the Wi-Fi?
Except Andrew.
Where that line come from?
Yeah.
Taking shots, man. Taking shots.
Yeah, I sure am. Yeah, and for everyone that's missing that, before we all started, I shared the very sad, unfortunate story of my 2-year-old smashing with a little plastic hammer and ruining my nice TV that I would watch football and everything on. So that is no longer happening.
Moment of silence for this man.
Thank you. F in the chat, moment of silence.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Now from across the pond is Matt.
Oh gosh,
What's it like over there? What does the Queen do for Christmas?
I don't pay attention to what she does. To be fair, it's all me.
Okay.
I've got so many varied stories because there wasn't consistency throughout my life because my parents were never together. My dad would kind of drift in and out. Some of it was going to church, but our church would start at say 7 maybe. Don't finish until 11. And that was painful because they lied to me. They're church folks telling me that you must not lie. But then they say it's only going to be an hour and a half service. I can do maths. That was not an hour and a half. So as a young person, that was just filling me up with anxiety. And then I remember another year when my dad would come round, we're having breakfast. He dragged that breakfast so long, I threw up with excitement for not being able to eat it was somewhat traumatic thinking about it. So I think now I'm kind of like, it's a day off work, really, isn't it? I don't really care.
Poor Matt just wants to open some presents.
Yeah.
Not even, because I buy myself whatever I want throughout the year. I don't even wait for other people to sort me out because of my childhood. But I like the idea of families coming together because that's not something I've always had the pleasure of having. So being able to sort of have that unit of saying, at least if it's not for me, it's for someone else to have that memory. That's what's important to me. The gift giving, just those memories for me is just life changing and it's just wholesome as long as obviously it's not traumatic in that way. And I love hearing you guys having your stories and having your situation because even though I may not have had it, doesn't necessarily mean that I don't want someone else to have that as well. It's just some people have this experience, some people have that experience. I'm not begrudging it. It allows me to tell a story. I'm kind of over it a little bit. But ultimately, I just love it. Like this Christmas, I'm spending it with my family. But I'm excited for the memories that we're going to create together. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
For it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. What about you, Travis? Anything?
Gosh, the one thing that stands out, which I do not do this to my children, although I kind of want to just to pain them, but Kenny G.
Yes.
Every Christmas.
Yes.
It was like Kenny G, man. It was like
It's
just the same record, same thing. It was like my parent. I don't know what they were. Kenny. That would just come out, and that's I just think Kenny G music playing in the house.
I'm a huge Kenny G fan, by the way.
Are you?
Nice.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Huge Kenny G fan.
Okay.
If I could meet him, that would be like one of the highlights of my life.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. So yeah, that's why I think of Christmas as Kenny G and all the basic stuff. We'd wake up in the morning and do we have to wait always for, we couldn't do it first thing in the morning. We got to wait till like 8 or 9 and then wait till everyone's awake. So we have to wait till everyone's awake. And speaking of, look who it is.
This
Sorry.
is Lillian, right?
Yes.
Hi, Lillian.
Hi, Lillian.
Okay. They all said hi, Lillian. I don't think she could hear because I have my earpods. All right, go ask Mama, okay? Love you.
There's the star.
Yep.
And you sure you guys want to get a vasectomy now, right? You just see how you want to have a vasectomy. Come on now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm I know 3 is my max. 3 is my max.
I'm
So
unmoved.
Oh, I'm prepared here for this. So yeah, we'd wake up and we would do kind of like one gift at a time, similar to, Andrew. And so we one gift at a time, everyone share back and forth and give gifts, and always have, classic Christmas PJs. Everyone puts their PJs on in the morning, usually plaid of some sort, just sit around and open it up and have hot cocoa. And that was kind of my Christmas morning. We were a small family. We didn't really hang out with like a lot of our extended family. So it was kind of just us, and just kind of, we did just our little thing. And there was a few times we'd go and we had some family in Nevada, my dad's side, and we would see them a couple times, but it wasn't regular. It was like a couple times for Christmas. And, I always think of Home Alone,
Yeah.
we'd always watch that movie on Christmas too.
Classic.
I remember watching Home Alone series as a kid and doing all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yep.
That
Exactly.
moves me every time, bro.
Uh-huh.
Every
That
time.
was-
100%.
Yeah.
So Home Alone and Kenny G is kind of what I think of when I think of childhood Christmas. And then National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation was the other one that I grew up watching. So those are like,
Nice.
those are kind of like my Christmas movies growing up as a kid.
Awesome.
So what about you, Kelly?
Yeah. So for me, it's the total opposite of the spectrum. Christmas was not a thing in our household. It was just not a thing. So let's see. When I lived in Venezuela for some years, and in Venezuela it's Christmas time and there's snow outside. There's definitely a festive atmosphere, and so there would be this thing called parranda, which means, what would it be the equivalent? Like people going around and singing Christmas carols, but not the like soft stuff. We talk about like tambourines, and we're talking about like, so it's really festive. So they had lights out and the stores would decorate. So there was that type of festive atmosphere. So we would be outside and just sort of take all of that in. But in terms of, and the food and all of that good stuff, ayacas and, oh my gosh, just like the good stuff. But then in our household, it was not something that we celebrated, because the thought was, Christmas, that was a pagan holiday. Jesus wasn't born on the 25th of December. There was all of that. And so why are we celebrating something that somebody else said that's when Jesus was born? So that was the philosophy, behind that. And because that was normal to me and to my sisters, it never felt like, oh, we didn't get any gifts. Like, we were getting gifts throughout the whole year. We were getting taken out throughout the whole year. We lived with my mom by herself. And then so friends of hers would come and take us out to eat and do that kind of stuff. So we never felt like we were missing out on anything. So when I came to the States and, there's this aura of Christmas, we just step right into it. Like, nope, it's still the same thing. You know what I mean? Now, as looking forward as adults, and it's just like, yeah, I didn't mind it really. Like, I can appreciate the fact that I didn't have to see my mom just run around like a mad woman trying to get us gifts so that we wouldn't have a horrible Christmas. We were cool. And it's been like that, that's just the trajectory we've been on since.
Yeah, these are all varying dad's, stories from childhood, from what our family traditions were. And it's interesting just to hear the similarities as well as the differences and just the range.
Yeah.
And so, but what I did hear, the theme, obviously, I heard from all of us was definitely there was the relational aspect. Even for Kelly, there's this relational piece, and there's something that we celebrate together, and we're having community within our family and with friends. That's definitely a theme that stood out among the different traditions, and definitely some overlap there. And so I guess the transition is, hey, as dads now, what are you doing as creating in the holiday season now, which could be very similar, could be very different. But what are you doing to create your dad holiday traditions for your family? And what are you trying to create now as men, as fathers, to kind of give to your kids and to hopefully pass down to the grandkids?
Yeah.
So whoever wants to start.
Well, I kind of feel like for me, it's very strange in a way, because I have my Christmas traditions that I had growing up, and then my children, except for Lillian, who we got at 3 days old, the other two had their own kind of upbringing until they were respectively 4 and 6 years old. And so coming into our home, their very first Christmas was like, I was like, hey, so what do you guys get for Christmas? And it was kind of the same thing. We don't get anything for Christmas. I don't know what really was the background. You can't really judge anybody's motives, but it was like, for us as adults, we're like, oh my gosh, because this is our culture. And so we immediately interpret it as, oh my God, that's so sad. They never got gifts. They never got gifts for birthdays or anything. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm about to show out. So the very first Christmas was a lot. It was a lot about gifts and a lot about being introduced to our extended family. And my family was kind of out of the picture, my relatives. So it was mostly my wife's extended family. So it was like this big new thing for them to be around the Christmas trees. And we're driving 900 miles to go to South Dakota after we get the judge's court order to take because they were still foster kids at that time. So it was a lot of moving parts to get them into that place. But now, as we've had this mature relationship after this, I guess it's been 6 years now. Lillian's 6 years old. Yeah, so that's 6 years we've been doing this. This year has been the most transformative year as far as how we've lived, because we were living in a 2-bedroom apartment, small house, living small, trying to just scraping by. And this year, I've had a pretty breakout year. So a lot of things are very, very different. This year, they are like, I would like to get that. And there's no financial constraint that I can't get what they're pointing at. And to me, as I got older, I don't really care about gifts as much. And like, I care about the relational aspect, but I do understand there's a relational component that happens when you do give somebody something. It's like, if that's their love language, so to speak. And so now, it's a lot of like, oh my gosh, I really like Lillian just got a Barbie dream house today. We celebrated Christmas today because we're gonna be out of state for December. And when we go out of state, we're gonna go to Disney. Like, did that hurt? You okay? Where's mom? Paige, go find mom.
That's the best thing that could be said on a dad's podcast.
Yeah, where's mom?
Go find mom. I can't have you over here. Yeah, so
That's funny.
We're experiencing I guess a big transformation in the way that we're going about things, and we're trying not to do too much. And so I guess if I could sum it up, we're still trying to write our tradition right now, and we're trying to find our way right now. So wish me luck. I'm going to try to take as much tips as I can from you guys, because I don't know what I'm doing. But Disney seems pretty good. Like, I think if I could say that's like something that might be relational and experiential, but they'll never forget, hopefully, I think being able to be down at Disney around Christmas time should hit the list.
Magical.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
Disney, man. That's everything holiday-ish, man. That's dope.
Yeah.
Dope. Can I go?
Yeah, go Hector.
So for me, as I mentioned, for my childhood, we spent a lot of time with family, and I think now that I have girls, we still. Sorry, my wife just looked in here. I don't know if you can.
I thought it was your mother-in-law.
If not, yeah.
Really, he had the fear of God in his eyes.
Oh, did I? That's funny.
It's
I
all
never know
right.
if it's going to be my kids or what. But so like I said, growing up, like we had a lot of family festivities, and we still have that with my with our extended families. We do. It is a little bit different. We live in a different town than a lot of our family does. But that's still there to some extent. We spend a lot of time with our family. But I think the new things that we're trying to do with our family are just really trying to find specific and intentional events for our kids. So one of the traditions that we started 2 years or 3 years back is the Nutcracker. So just trying to find some local presentation of the Nutcracker, something that's kid friendly, and all that, and bringing them to that. We make a big deal about it. We go to dinner beforehand. We get them dresses for them to get all dressed up in and stuff, and
Nice.
just treat it like a really special thing. And even last year in 2020 with COVID. That wasn't happening, but we still tried to make it special. We got a little projector for our backyard, and we kind of ordered in some food and kind of made that a special thing. So that's something that's a tradition. We also do like lights. We go and we pick a night of the season, and we just go, look at Christmas lights and stuff, and they love that. So yeah, those are a couple of them. But I can say, being a dad, to my 4 girls, the holidays just makes for some really, really sweet memories. And I think I'm enjoying it more than I thought I would, as a dad, being able to kind of relive a lot of those memories as a kid, and being able to see kind of their faces light up, when they're having the experiences they're having, and knowing that they're enjoying their childhood. So it's pretty cool.
What about you, Andrew?
Yeah, I was kind of reflecting on what's been said before, and I think that's one of the things that I've really enjoyed about the holidays is for me as a dad, like, generally speaking, we can buy or whatever gifts or things that we need throughout the year.
Yeah.
We don't wait for Christmas like our kids do. And so being able to see our kids in the anticipation of the season and the holidays. And then I just feel so lucky that my dad recorded a bunch of home videos around Christmas time. So I get to see what I was like at my son's now current age. And I get to kind of you get to see that generational, just reliving these moments. And I'm so thankful for our technology and social media and things to be able to capture those moments. So my children will be able to pass that down and relive their experiences and see that joy in themselves. And I just feel lucky to be able to see that. And that's one of the big things that I love about the holidays, is it's definitely turning, and my life in general over the last couple of years, we've gone through some difficult times, and it's been a huge mental shift in the focus of importance of relationships and building relationships now and being present. And I think the holidays is always a fantastic reminder of that, and a fantastic time because you're going to go meet up with family and be with family. And it's always a great time to reconnect and things like that. So that's one of the things that we always like to do, is make it a point to connect with family, especially family that's local. I'm a homebody. I don't really like to travel for the holidays. I love to kind of just shelter in place and stay by the fire. And since I'm a San Diego kid, having snow on Christmas is like super magical for me for some reason. I love snow. I love precipitation because it occurs here a little bit more than San Diego. And but yeah, as far as just traditions go, one of the things that we love doing is, I think the same as Hector, is we choose a night, and there's a special map of the Salt Lake Valley where specific homes will put their address on this map, and you go to all these places that are completely incredible, where people, these amazing dads, are blowing their December electric bill on our entertainment, and it's absolutely fantastic. So we love doing that. There's a couple local things in our town that we always make it a point to go to. And we still try to maintain the tradition of pizza on Christmas Eve. And then on Christmas Day, my wife's family's tradition that I've grown to love is bread bowls with homemade clam chowder. Oh, that's always a thing. And so
I might adopt that one.
It's fantastic. So yeah, definitely visiting Christmas lights and seeing all the things around town are definite staples in our home.
How about you, Matt?
Wow, I feel like I'm bringing up the rear in here, because I just feel that I don't feel that festive in comparison, because similar to like the whole gift giving side of thing, I just want to make it a thing that's constant throughout the year. I don't want it to wait until a particular point in time. The only thing I can really say, and I think it's because my son is so young as well, is that when he turned 1, that was at the height of COVID, and then obviously he turned 2 this year. So it was a bit hard to do anything that I may have wanted to do anyway. But the reality is, it's a matter of, it's just nice because my mum and my in-laws and my brother-in-law and so forth all just come together, and we're just at like their house or someone's house. Like, that's a nice thing. But I try and I think because, and to give you a bit of backstory, I've lost a lot of family members over a space of a short period of time in my life when I was younger. So I'm very intentional about making sure whatever I do it with a purpose. So I don't want to wait until a birthday. I don't want to wait until an anniversary. I don't want to wait until Christmas. If I feel a certain way now, I want to do it now. And that's the same way I want to be with my son. So when it comes to us spending time together as a free or with my extended family, then we're going to do that. We're not going to wait until such time. But it is nice just watching everyone be able to get together. I find myself, it's probably a miserable side of me, is that I just try and be mindful of the fact that I don't want him to be overly stimulated from all the gift giving and stuff like that. I'd rather sort of be like, it's calm, it's great that we're spending time together, but don't shower him or myself or my wife with a whole bunch of gifts that honestly, I'm going to re-gift. I don't want that. I don't want him to develop that. If you want to give money, here's his account number, go pay money into it. But I don't want it to be a materialistic thing. I want it to be wholesome. I want it to be understanding. We're spending time with family. If you want to have a nap, go have a nap. Don't feel you have to stay up because other people will stay up. Because one of my good friends, he has an issue where he would travel to his mum's, to his dad's, to his cousins, all over the gaff before he even did anything. And I'm like, I'm not on that life. This is my day. Every day is my day with due respect. So I don't want to, and I don't want my son or anyone in my family to feel pressured to please others for, if you want to go that route, a pagan holiday. But the reality is that do what you need to do for your home dynamics and make sure you make it special. That's my personal take on it. Again, I'm not here to sort of rain anyone else's parade. Do you? And I fully appreciate it. I love that you're passionate about what you are doing. But for me personally, I want to be intentional about what I'm doing, why I'm doing it for my family, and just have that bond so that at least they can say, oh, we used to sit down and watch this movie or we watched that movie.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. But I don't want you to feel that we had to travel around the world just to please other people for whatever reason. Then next, throughout the rest of the year, I'm scrimping pennies together because I can't afford nothing because I blew it all on Christmas.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good, man.
Man,
Been there.
yeah.
Been there.
Yeah, Jason, go ahead.
I just feel like that is an incredibly intentional and healthy mindset to have that I am just newly walking into, because that was me. Drive 900 miles to go to this house. Oh, we got to go see these people. We got to go see these people. And I'd be like tired, and I'd feel bad because I was tired because, oh man, I'm so sorry, I'm falling asleep. Yeah, you just drove like you drove 10 hours straight to get there. But I'm thinking Gen Xer raised mostly as a people pleaser. So it takes a while to come into the place where you're at, the mental capacity to say, I'm going to take agency of my own self and my own time. Today is my day. That is like a really powerful statement.
Yeah.
Like saying it's Christmas Day. No, it's my day.
Yeah.
And if you want to take a nap after that tryptophan hit you from that turkey, then take a daggone nap.
Yeah.
Like you don't have
Unbuckle
to
that
stay up
belt.
and
Just rest up.
Oh my gosh, that's heavenly right there.
Oh, just
Yeah,
wear sweatpants. Just untie it and just
Sweatpants, baby.
I'm telling you. And if you have those sweatpants, you don't even need to get the vasectomy. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Okay.
Full circle.
Full circle.
It's working.
That's good. That's
It's
good,
working.
Jay. That's good,
That was
Jason.
beautiful.
Yeah, and what
man,
about what you, Kelly? What are you trying to create now?
So that's the phase, like Jason. I think that's the phase that I'm in right now, because my wife also comes from a very traditional home where, I mean, my in-laws, I don't think they celebrate hardly anything. I mean, yeah, they do birthdays and stuff like that, but in terms of holidays and what have you, I don't think they hardly do anything really. So, that's the fiber, that's the cloth that she was cut out from, And so it makes it challenging for us as a couple to think about, what kind of traditions we're trying to set, if any. She's not opposed to, like, there's this place outside of Philadelphia where it's like a little village that is a Christmas village. And I mean, it's lights, it is the whole shebang, and it is beautiful. And it's a drive-through place. So you go and you just hang out in your car and you drive through, these really beautifully lit streets, and all the trees are covered in lights and they have monuments. I mean, it is absolutely beautiful. And so she's not opposed to doing things like that. And I've done it before she and I got married. Last year, we thought about doing it, but the baby was still too young to take him out to do that. We'll have to think about whether or not we want to do that this year. But stuff like that, for me personally, Home Alone movies. I mean, Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2, it's an absolute must. I mean, I must watch Home Alone 1 and 2. Right? So if I can have my son join me when he gets older into that piece of it, then at least I know when, I don't need a particular season to watch Home Alone. I could watch Home Alone all day, every day, right? But if we're trying to create something around that season, then if I can have him join me, at least in that tradition, so that he knows he could watch Home Alone whenever he wants, but definitely on around this time of year, it's just gonna be me and dad, and we're gonna sit there and we're gonna watch Home Alone. I think I could live with something like that, because I do appreciate what Matt said. It's not a matter of pleasing people and having to feel this pressure of, and to me, I always found that baffling. Again, coming from the background of Christmas was not a big thing for us. And so being an outsider, observing what was happening in America, and I mean, just the Thanksgiving, we thank you, Lord, for everything that you've given us. Black Friday, let's kill people so we can get what we want. And then Christmas time. And then, and to me, it was always puzzling, like, man, this doesn't add up. Like this one time of year, people are racking up the credit card bills and all the headache and all of this, and a whole bunch of these kids are ungrateful anyway because they're just going to open up the gifts and not use them the rest of the year, but they want the most expensive Xbox and this and that, and hundreds of thousands of dollars going to waste. And then January 1st and
everything's on sale.
Yeah.
So to Clearance. Me, that never made sense, and I never wanted to buy into that. And I'm thankful for my background in that regard. That I don't like, that doesn't appeal to me in any way, shape, or form. I think I've only done Black Friday once in my life, and I was like, that's it. You know what I mean? So I just want to create those type of moments with my son, not just around the holidays, but just throughout the year, so that he knows this is a me and dad thing. And if it extends, to the holidays as well, then so be it. But I'm definitely picking up what you're putting down, Matt. That's the mode of operation that I want to function at.
And one thing I would say is that what I really liked about what you said as well as the rest of the guys is that in using your situation back, the Home Alone situation, in years to come, when you're no longer around, at least that he'll be able to watch that and think of you.
Yeah.
And he'll have that. Right. And that for me is something really special, just sort of knowing that you just do something and it just casts your mind back to a happier time.
Yeah.
Where, yes, you're grieving, but you're able to smile because you're thinking, we used to laugh at that all the time. And oh my gosh, it's still funny. Yeah. Because grieving, it can be painful, but sometimes you just need to grieve, but be able to smile while grieving because it's a shared, enjoyable moment. So I love that.
For sure.
That's huge.
Thank you for killing me off.
Good word.
But I appreciate that.
If it makes you feel really good, I was thinking about Black Panther, where you haven't actually died, you're just in another plane.
There you
go.
There you go.
Yeah, saved myself.
There you go.
Who's not at those other planes? Mother-in-laws. I didn't see any.
Wow. You're trying to make it to that plane, aren't you?
No, I'm good. She don't watch nothing on the internet. I'm safe.
I'll send her the link.
We'll send her a VHS tape.
There you go.
We'll get VHS.
Y'all trying to send me to the astral plane.
So I'm wondering, with everything else hearing you guys say, like, we're all trying to create something for our families, and whether it's within the typical tradition or not. And I know for a lot of you, this is still probably going to evolve and even with myself, like, it's going to evolve with time. But if you were to think about what are you really trying to instill within this season, this kind of winter, holiday, whatever, but we're in a season, we're trying to create something. If you can give your kids one thing, your family one thing within this, what are you trying to instill in them in this particular season?
If I could share, and I hate to be this guy because I after this I have to be the guy to jump off. I don't know if we talked about this in the call, but my mother-in-law's here. I'm recording in the space that she's supposed to be sleeping in. On top of that, one of my kids came home sick from school today, so I just as a dad, this is being a dad podcast, I got some stuff that needs my attention, so I have to jump off. But man, so what I hope to instill and what my wife hopes to instill. What we both hoping to achieve, with these holiday seasons is, and I think somebody said it earlier, Kelly, I think it was you, is just this idea of love, of community, of valuing relationships. And Matt, I love what you just said, bro, of like, someday 20, 30, 50 years from now, that they'll be able to, smile, when they see that funny part in that Christmas movie that they remember sitting on dad's lap, watching with, or they smell that turkey that makes them think of their grandmother, or, they, whatever it is, because, at the end of the day, whether you're a person of faith, a religious person or not, what we all have in common is relationships and people, and the power that we have to be able to encourage one another, to be able to support and love one another. It's powerful. So for our daughters, we want to instill that love, relationships, and not just receiving it, but being able to give it, being able to offer that and be a light in other people's lives, whether it's a family or people that we're going to serve or friends, whatever it is. It's all about love. It's all about relationships, and it's a beautiful season to do that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well said.
Appreciate that, dude.
I love y'all. It was really good being with you.
And
Hey,
we'll bring you back for
Likewise.
vasectomy, so don't worry. It'll be a part 2. We're good, so you get
my
rest.
story. You don't want to miss my story. I'll be back for that one.
Oh, we'll do a shared story. It'll be fun. We'll I do blessings, man. Have a good night.
Take care.
Who wants to follow up Hector, man? So who wants to do that?
I think
Before we do
that's
that, sorry, Travis, did you share your part about Christmas and stuff?
No, I did not, but I can. So
Good call, Matt.
So for me, the traditions I've been doing, like my wife and I, we've been together, married 11 years, and so we started our own tradition. We, you call it cheesy, whatever you want, but every time we get a Christmas tree, even when we lived in an apartment, we got like a little Charlie Brown tree, real small, and decorate. That was our thing, just small, funky looking, just get it in, and just real, just like a couple ornaments, and but we'd always watch Love Actually in the background. It was why it's a tradition, right? Just for whatever reason, that's the movie we have on the background, and so that'd be on the background, and we decorate our tree, and she'd usually make some cookies or something. So there's always like cookies. Making cookies, they're baking while we're doing the tree. When the tree's done, we then get some cookies, and then we sit down and fit. By the time there may be barely anything left of the movie, it's kind of like a white noise thing.
Yeah.
And we've been doing that. We don't have our kids do that because there's some scenes in that movie that we don't want our kids seeing, highly inappropriate. But we do that when they go to bed. We still have it when they go to bed. And but what we have been doing now with our kids, now that a 4 and 2-year-old, we bring them. We always go to Home Depot to get our tree, but they sell trees for cheap. Christmas trees for cheap. It's like great price. And so we go always to a local Home Depot, and we walk around with the boys, and they help us pick out a tree. We hold them up, and they try and grab the tree and drag stuff around. So it's just fun because they want to help me out. Like they see me doing, and it's really cool. They just want to help dad out, and they just want to grab trees like I am and pull stuff out and hold it up with me. And then we spin the tree around, and they help me spin it because, my wife's got to make sure it looks
Pristine.
Way. Yeah.
right. There can't be a big dead spot. And I'm like, it's fine. Let's just take this tree. She's like, no, it has to be, I'm like, all right. Sometimes I would get frustrated. I'm like, let's just pick a tree. I've done like 20 of them. But so we do that. We go home, and then that night we decorate it with the kids, and we help them. Now they help us put on ornaments, at least the non-glass ones. And so we do that, and then they pick out their ornament and put it on. And so just try and instill it's all about family. It's all about relationships. So what we're doing is really about creating memories, fun memories with food and cookies and the smell of a Christmas tree and the lights. And then in the morning, what we do is we don't turn the lights on that night. So they start decorating and they go to bed. We then finish and put the movie on, and then we put the lights on. And when we get up in the morning, and we've done this now the last 3 years, been doing it. And this last year, they're excited out because they come out and we have the lights on in the morning, early morning for the next day. And they come out and they're just like, their eyes are wide, and they see it's because it's dark in the house and the lights are on in the tree, and they're just like, oh, and they get so excited, and they come up and they're just like staring at it. And that to me is just like, it's just such a good feeling as a dad.
Awesome.
Yeah,
It's just
so cool.
It's just like, oh, you just see their excitement, and like they just stare at this tree and they're just looking up, and I'm like, oh man, this feels so good. And I just get excited with them. So it's like, that's the stuff we're doing, and just those types of memories. And then Christmas music and stuff, and I have a record player, so I put some old stuff on there, old Christmas goodies and stuff on the record player, and have that play around. They love the record player, and so
Don't say it. Jason will come around.
yeah, Jason will come around. He'll be real slow with taking, just real delicate, and then scratching a bit. But it's good. And to answer the more deeper question, I guess since I'm going, then I'll have you guys go. The rest is, we're really just trying to, we do have we come from a strong faith background, which we also instill. But beyond that, at the end of the day, what we're really trying to instill, like Hector, is just at the end of the day, it's about our relationship as a family, our relationship with other family members, other friends that are now that are family, but they're friends. It's about relationship and being relational and really just being loving and generous to people. That's what I want them to know is this whole season. We want to instill them just to be loving men and good men, and starting with these traditions to love on our family, kind of in to out, like starting with our family and then loving others. I want them to be loving men, like caring men, and to give that away to the world. So I'm trying to start at a young age, and with my 2.5-year-old, and that's my heart for them, and that's what we're doing. And it's fun, awesome. Man. It's fun when they get older. It's like, it's cool. Like now they're excited, and that's like the funnest part. Really, is their eyes just like, oh. So.
Yeah. One of the things that makes this time of year interesting is, are all the lights. I mean, Christmas without lights is just blah, right? Yeah. So I want to take the wisdom that I can squeeze from that to try to instill in my son, the notion that, just like everyone sort of waits for this time of year to put an emphasis on light, and the light shining brightest when it gets darker, like the rest of the year, there can be so much darkness. But if he can be this constant light bulb to in people's lives, it can look as beautiful as the lights do on Christmas or during this time of year. So I think that's more so the teaching that I want to upload in him, right? Because this time of year is so full of people receiving, and the one who's receiving has to receive it from someone. So there is also giving, but the emphasis is typically on the receiving end of things. So I want to turn that around for him, for us, and show him that just like millions of people are waiting for this time of year, anticipating what they will receive, we, on the other hand, should take advantage of this season where people are waiting to receive, and we ought to be, or we should grow in excitement to be able to give, so that it's always the counter of what's expected. Because I just don't like the fact, one of the things that I don't like about this season is the expectation of having to receive and having to be happy and having to, like, all of these expectations, you have to do this. And so you drive 900 miles to South Dakota. And I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot, right? So how can we turn the tide around with my son, of all of the expectations of this season, and teach him to live and to, at least within this season and everything that's expected of it, in a different way than what is expected. So, I think that's where my mind is at right now. Just trying to teach him these things, and it has to start by whatever it is I do, so that he can see it happening, and invite him into that mode of thinking and that mode of being.
It's like a lot of, from what you guys are saying, that I'm seeing is like emerging is a lot of mindfulness in the season.
Mm.
And like, if I sit here and give an honest audit of my past Christmases, you just go into the reactionary mode. You're reacting
Mm-hmm.
to this is what you're expected to do. This is what and so we're out there, and it's Christmas time, and I'm mad in line because I didn't get the Wii because
Mm-hmm.
this lady took it and I didn't get it, or it's the day after Thanksgiving and we're rushing to Black Friday, and we're in there and we're upset because Walmart won't let you take it off the rack until 12 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
like, and where you realize, like, once you're removed from that, where's the mindfulness in that? Like, why are we even here?
Yeah.
We're here to show love.
Mm.
And if it's in the form of giving, why is there a stipulation with it better be this gift, it better be such and such, or they're not going to be happy? And then you're kind of forecasting this kind of mood around Christmas where, oh man, I really hope she likes it.
Mm-hmm.
And she opens up the gift and the reaction isn't really what you were expecting.
Now your
And now
feelings
you
are
feel like your feelings are hurt and all of this stuff. And at the end of the day, credit card bills come in, and for what? Like, why? This whole mindfulness of talking to your kid, telling them that you want to learn how to be the light in the dark place. Just be you being the light there. And hey, what do you guys want to do? Do you want to take a nap? Like, that type of stuff, that type of thinking I think is way more wholesome than, all the pressure that we normally get into. And I think it happens to us and we're not even aware that we're participating in it until you get moments like these where I can sit down with you gentlemen and be like, man, I really did have it jacked up. I'm here thinking that, man, this is fun, but internally, I know that the date is creeping closer,
Mm-hmm.
and I can feel the energy even in myself. I'm like, oh man, we about to do this. What's the itinerary?
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
that's not that fresh. It really isn't.
Yeah.
It's not mindful at all.
Well, you, Andrew, you're like nodding along there.
Yeah, a lot of what everyone's saying is really resonating. The first thing that you said about your tradition, going back to you, Travis, about the tree, and I think one of the big themes here is a lot of these traditions that we create. I've noticed that everybody says these traditions are all done with our family, and it's not necessarily about Christmas Day, about December 24th and December 25th. I've noticed everyone here is talking about the season, and it's a season where, whatever's happened in the last, especially these last couple of crazy years, it's always brings us back to what's important, and it's the relationships that we have with each other, about creating new relationships and making meaning out of that. And one of the things that reminded me about setting up our Christmas tree is every single vacation that we do as a family, we make it a point to go and buy a Christmas ornament from that specific vacation. Because what we do is then we get to put that on the tree, and then we laugh and reminisce about when my wife and I went and did a couple's trip to Vegas, or when we went with the kids to Hawaii, or did this, or even if it was something where we just drove to some little location and we wanted to remember this small town where we got stuck and ran out of gas or something like that. just these little moments that help bring us back to what's important. And then the last thing is, I forgot to mention this other tradition that we started just last year, because we've had a lot of shifts in beliefs and things. And one of the things that we wanted to really start doing was celebrating the light, because this is when it starts to get really dark here in the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah.
And winter solstice we celebrated last year, which was like a week or something before Christmas. And it's the darkest day of the year. And so what we decided to do was we brought together some of our close family that lives near us, and we turned off all the lights in the house when it started to get dark, and we only used candlelight around the house. And then we talked about what we loved about the year, what are the things we want to do next year as far as maybe setting goals, and what are the things that we love about each other. And so it was just really focused on ourselves and our relationship with others. And it was really fun to just mix things up and try something totally new that we're like, we don't know what we're doing. We're celebrating winter solstice. We didn't grow up doing this. But it was fun to bring light to the darkest day of the year. And I hope to iterate on that tradition as we continue to grow, because this is what's important, being mindful about the whole season, being mindful about our relationships. And, you know, because I like I said at the beginning during my introduction, one of the things that I'm really concerned about is being able to maintain a relationship with my kids when they're older. I want them to take pride in saying that they want to bring their fiance over to meet mom and dad, because mom and dad are great. Mom and dad are fun. They're super awesome. And I want to be able to, that is my long-term goal. And I've shifted parenting strategies and everything over the last couple of years to achieve that. And so that's what I hope to do.
Dude, I love that, man. That's like speaking to me, man. That's
gold.
Yeah, that's gold, man. I want my kids to bring their fiance or friends over and say, hey, let's go to mom and dad's, because it's not a stress ball. It's not like people aren't pissed off and angry, right? It's people aren't, but it's like, no, it's loving, it's calm, it's intentional.
And
it's
because they want to.
Because they want to, right? Not that we're forcing them.
Yeah, because they want to.
Right.
Yeah. My daughter said this to me today. She goes, because she's realized, like, right now we have extended family that's around us, like, at this time. And there's a little bit of tension that comes along with that. You know, you're trying to interpret what people are saying, if it's a judgment, if it's this or that, like even how we keep our house or whatever. And so we do things very non-traditional. Like, my job, I'm a content creator. Like, like, that's not what people would consider normal. You're a content creator. Yeah. So where do you go to do your work? Like, I get up and go to my office in my house. And so, like, having that non-traditional sense, that's how we live. And when you have extended family around, it's, my daughter goes, she says, I kind of feel bad because I feel like you guys are trying to, it was really poignant. She goes, you guys are trying not to be judged, but you're happy to see your rest of your family, but you feel like they're judging you. And then she goes, I hope that when I have my family, that when I come to visit you guys, that we feel comfortable. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's super duper important. But to hear it from her saying it to me like that, because she's the mission, really. Like, all of us, we look down into their eyes. They are the mission. If you want that relationship, like, they're not going to remember the crap you got them. They're going to remember, like, those moments, the Christmas tree, the dad let me take a nap while we were watching a movie that I like, or Home Alone. Those things are what bring that comfort and what builds that foundation. So they know that further on down the line, they got their husband or wife or what have you, and they're ready to bring them into the fold. They don't have to be like, it's not a trope. Like, we don't want it to be the trope where they're in the car and then, you think they're going to like me? They're going to love you. Oh my gosh. And you're just telling them something because you really know, oh boy, okay, you better do the right things when you come through the door. Why should my kid and the person they love have to fight through a gauntlet to get the relationship that they've had with me? Like, it makes no sense. Like,
100%.
We need to be able to be that for them. And I hear that in each and every one of you guys. You guys have that goal in mind. And that's very inspiring to me.
Can we talk about the elephant in the room a little bit more, though? The fact that the pressure that comes with the season, and sort of how you deal with it on, in your context. So we've been talking about Christmas more so than Thanksgiving, for instance. But with these gatherings, there's the expectation we got to go to this person's house because we didn't go there last year. And so is going to be there. And oh man, I don't really want to be around so and so. So like that kind of stuff. Like how if any of that speaks to any of your experience, current, past, how have you dealt with that?
It's like falling down the steps. Uh, it's not graceful at all. Like I don't know anybody could do that super duper gracefully unless they feel like they can just get up and leave if they or just say they don't want to be there kind of thing. But my like right now I'm thinking, yeah, you're the king. Like the thing that I'm trying to wrap my head
But
around
you mean
now,
it.
like right because our kids came to us through a traumatic experience of foster care. So you got removed, and now you're in this situation, and here we are in foster care. Now you have to learn to trust this big dude and his wife, and now 6 years in, you're family, and you're learning to do it. And all that time, we were there trying to protect them from things that sensitive things that people might say, like, "Oh, so are they still in foster?" Like they'd say stuff to kind of other your kids while they don't know it, it's ignorant, but still, bro, like why?
Yeah.
But and so I have to have these little talks with the kids and everything, and that's really my main uh anxiety in the holiday season is to have my kids around people that might not be familiar with how sensitive the journey is and might say something hurtful, and because it is the season, anything that's said to them that might be hurtful will hold way more gravity because
Mhm.
it's encapsulated in this. They'll remember the movie that was on
Yep.
TV, what Grandma Gertrude was bringing in out of the
Yep.
casserole dish, what all of that stuff. And so that's kind of what I weigh in my mind, and I try to set the tone. You can tell like I'm a jokester or whatever. It's a bit of a coping mechanism to all the psychologists in the room. But if you say the jokes and you make the statements and you command the presence of the room, then you don't give anybody a chance to trip up and say something super insensitive because you didn't give it a platform. Everybody was laughing about something else, and so you didn't come in the room and bring up political things. And so trying to navigate that right now, like the traveling thing is one thing, but I think it's something that all of us have to deal with when you have extended, and especially in my case, biracial kind of uh, quotient there, where some people are white, some people are black. We see certain things in the nation differently, and a lot of times politically charged stuff will feel comfortable to come up at the most inopportune times, which is Thanksgiving, Christmas.
Mhm.
I make sure that whatever services is on TV is streaming only. We're not checking the news. We're not having that stuff because I don't want it to be about that.
Mhm.
And why would we get into an argument about some junk with people on Capitol Hill that ain't inside my house? Like,
Mhm.
I want to create these moments with you and enjoy your grandkids, enjoy your aunts, your uncles, kind of thing. But yeah, that I guess I've become a bit of a control freak, and I can try to say that it's a positive in a positive way, but it's probably not healthy for me. But it's just a thing where I feel like I'll take the pebbles, I'll take the shots of that extra pressure just so that my kids can kind of breathe in that space because I don't so much have the fortitude at the moment to say, we're just not going to go there. Like, everybody's staying home. We're not going to go visit or whatever. Because there is some intrinsic value in the gathering. There is some of that stuff. And so we can, I guess, we can change the way how it's done by stating what is safe and what we would like the atmosphere to be. I think that can kind of change it for the rest of that generation. And then our kids can feel safe enough to pull, like, to be like Matt and be like, no, we're not doing that. Like, that's not what's happening here. Or
Yeah.
I'm finna be gone. Oh, sorry, my bad. I want my kids to be that strong. Like, when they get there into that adulthood. But I don't want to be the reason that they pull the card of I'm going to get up and leave. But yeah,
But I think with what you said, there's like you're talking about your children coming from out of a bad situation, so to speak. They got pulled out of that situation because it wasn't healthy for them to remain, and then it's hard to heal where you've been hurt. So that's something that you have to do yourself. Like if something you don't want to do something, why are you putting yourself through it? Take it out. Because I'm very mindful that I've learned a lot from my family. Like, my dad's not the best guy in the world. I know that, but he's taught me how I don't want to be a father. So I'm taking that from the situation. I haven't spoken to my dad since 2009, and he lives in the same borough as me, or state as you, I guess if you want to call it that. Literally, live like 3 miles away from me. Why? You don't even know. He's never met my son. And I have no intention of introducing my son. I just need to protect my peace. And I've learned this a long time ago. I will buy gifts for people throughout the year. Like, I work with a woman. I talk to her once or twice a month. Not a great deal. But she started talking, like, she's not black, but she was talking about her daughter learning about Rosa Parks and stuff like that. And I got her a book for her daughter. Like, we really spoke about the book. She never bought a book. Cost me a little bit of money, but what's the point of earning money if I can't help somebody? And I figure if she could take an interest in my culture and everything else like that, at least I can do is say, you know what, I appreciate, here's something to support the cause.
Sure.
So when it comes to me being an individual throughout the course of a year, it's not a bad thing, but I'm very mindful because I've worked in the corporate industry for like 20 years, and I understand that their traditions is to keep making money off the same marketing platforms they've used year on year on year, to the point where you forget what the original purpose of you doing these activities were. So if I want to buy something, I don't like sales, just because I don't like fighting with people. That's just not my scene. So I'd rather pay the premium for it just to avoid the hustle and bustle of fighting with other people and potentially just getting a color I didn't want or whatever. So I need to be mindful that if I get caught up in that, I'm teaching my son that's okay. I'm teaching my son it's okay to overindulge in eating a whole bunch of food and then start complaining for the rest of the 6 months later. Let's just be intentional. Yes, you can splurge. Everyone's entitled to it, but just control your reaction to whatever's being presented to you. If you don't like something, remove yourself from it. Hopefully all of us have watched that movie. Is it Inside Out or whatever? One that Pixar movie.
Inside Out.
Yeah, and I think the whole point of that is the fact that it's okay to experience any of those feelings at any given times. And we shouldn't sort of make people feel bad for feeling those feelings, because we wake up on the wrong side of the bed, if you want to use that phrase. But if our children do it, we just got to say, do you know what? Do you? That's fine. Some things are going to trigger you, some things are not going to trigger you. But do you know what? It's okay to feel what you feel. You don't want to travel this far? That's fine. Don't do it. But daddy, you do it. Well, daddy does what daddy does. You're reinforcing the toxic narrative, in my opinion. You're then putting, because if it's a girl, let's say, she might then think, oh, I have to have children because that's what happens. A boy child might feel, oh, I have to be a jock because, no, do you be happy? Because I would like to think, if my son thought he could do something, but it didn't work out, and then had this mental block where to say, I can't do it, I'm going to think, my guy, you can do anything. It's like, I look at you and I see a superhero there. So don't ever doubt yourself. So why then am I going to distort that reality for my child, looking at me saying, Dad, you're Superman to me? Nah, but I can't do it. Have the belief in myself that my child has a belief in me. You know, we're all very resourceful. We all can get there. And I just want to be consistent and say, throughout the year, yes, have your traditions, but be mindful in the sense that you need to understand why you're doing these traditions, what negative, because let's be fair, anything that has light has casts a shadow. That's just the nature of the beast. But just make sure it doesn't have a negative impact, because, you know, growing up, pronouns wasn't a thing. Now pronouns are a thing. So I have to be mindful of my language that I use and stuff like that. So certain traditions I follow, I have to then revise it slightly. So when we have our traditions, like, right, by us doing this, what am I potentially taking away from the day or the event or whatever? By you being that person and trying to be well-rounded, don't get it wrong, you're not going to be all things to all people at all times. It's just not feasible. And if it is feasible, you're going to be very unhappy and very tired. But I think it's just a matter of just be happy with your decisions. Have those conversations. And before long, we'll be like Andrew, where our children will want to come and talk to us and just not feel the pressure that they have to. Like one of my big things is that I know I'm never going to live my son's life. I don't want to live his life. But I want him to be able to say, I want to talk to Dad. Not because he feels he has to, but because he likes our conversations. He wants to run things by me. I just want that relationship. And the only way I'm going to do that is by allowing him to be him and not judging him.
Yeah.
And by not judging him, hopefully that means that he won't judge other people.
Yeah.
And he'll let bygones be bygones, have his own beliefs, have his own whatever it is it may be, but just not let anything outside, external to him, influence how he feels internally. And if he does feel a way internally, that's okay. Talk it out, work it out in a healthy way, if at all possible. But I'm not trying to preach.
That's
sorry.
good.
No,
That's
no,
good.
it's good.
That's good. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well said.
Well, and what I heard you said, dude, too, and even what Jason was saying is, it's really being intentional. What are we modeling? Because we could say one thing, like, right, but our behavior could say the exact opposite. Like, that was saying you're talking the talk, but can you walk the walk, right? So it's, if we're preaching or saying one thing, are we behaving in a way that's aligned, or are we so misaligned? Because if we're saying we don't want to go to this family member's house or do all the stress, but we do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, dad does this. It's like, well, you shouldn't. Then we're just regurgitating what happened to us or whatever. If that's what happened to us as kids, we have to actually follow through and do what we say. And that's kind of what I was hearing when you say Matt and Jason. Is like, what are we modeling? Because kids really look at our behavior at the end of the day. Yes, they listen to what we say, but they're like, okay, what does dad do? What does mom do?
Mm-hmm.
Are they actually aligned or are they misaligned?
Yeah. It's weird because, like, in a lot of ways, I know exactly what to do. I know what is the logical path to do it, but I also know how to justify an action that is just comfortable because of the fact that it's a tradition. I don't really want to do it, but this is what we do. Kind of you're trapped. You're in the trap, and your mind is helping you make sense of the trap that you're in. And I think it takes that eureka moment to be like Matt and be like, why am I feeling this way? Why do I even need to feel this way? Why am I telling this to my kid? If you're around friends and they make you feel like crap, you could just leave. But here I am getting ready to take a trip and go be around some people that make me feel like crap. And I'm going to have an attitude with my kids when I'm back in the car or when we're there. This is one thing that I'm trying to, it's been the thing that me and my wife has tried to hammer with a sledgehammer, like break this thing up, is when you're around people and you know that they're judging you for whatever reason, and because they're judging you, that judgment extends to your kids. And now you're talking to your kids in the manner that you don't normally talk to. Shh, don't do. Why? I'll never talk to you like that. But why? But Daddy, you said, like, we went to a church, and it's been a while since we had gone to one. And Lillian loves dancing. I'll start playing music. She'll ask for gospel music. I'll throw it on, and she'll get to dancing. And we go to church, and she hears the music. She's like, "Oh, I'm going to dance for God." And I was like, "Okay." And she's dancing, and then people are looking, and it kind of, you feel a kind of way because people are looking, and we were visiting this church, and I'm like, oh, shoot. Okay. And I'm like, wait, like, I literally had to stop myself from going in there and take her and say, no, you can't do that. Like, why am I crushing her spirit for what? Like, God isn't mad if you believe in a higher power.
In Psalms, they talk about it. Dance like David did and all that. So,
hey, right? So I'm like, man, if that's how she's feeling, she's tapping into something, like, just, it's cool. As long as you're not knocking over the old lady that's trying to go to the bathroom, like, be careful, be mindful. Like,
well, it depends. If you're busting to go, you kind of need to hurry up a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, like, these are things. These are those mindful things that kind of escape us sometimes, and then we get that hindsight when we get to sit down and be like, oh shoot, I blew it. I just did something, or I spoke to my kid in a manner that I don't normally do because somebody was looking at me and I felt nervous
And
for whatever reason.
But you wouldn't want your child to then talk to you in the different manner to how they normally would do because they're around their friends. So we have to mirror that. But I'll definitely say as well, and I'm very conscious because Andrew hasn't spoken a little bit, is that, how do I put it? It's the fact that tradition can sometimes stifle communication. Because if you're just living at tradition, why do we do this? Because we do.
Right.
Why? Because we do. That
So it
doesn't
loses
tell
its
me
meaning.
anything. Yeah. So always talk. And let's be honest, if your child ever said to you, why do we do this? And you just cut them off like that, that's no longer a family tradition. That's your tradition. But if they ask the question, it's because they want to understand, because potentially they will even want to get involved. Well, more likely because they want to get involved, but you're robbing of that opportunity because you said, because that's how we do it. They might tell you, oh, rather than use halogen bulbs, use LED bulbs because it's cheaper and stuff like that. I like the way you think. This is our thing together. And that for them, that's their memory. That's their eureka moment. That's like, oh my gosh, I helped dad with something.
Yeah.
Because now you can show them the electric bill and go, you saved me some money.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's funny, Andrew and I we just had a conversation about this, about some of what we're talking about that you were talking about, Jason, about like going places and boundaries.
Yeah.
So
kind of circling up with that. Oh, sorry. Did I freeze?
Are you talking about me
Andrew,
or Andrew? Oh, I'm like,
but he's frozen.
I'm back.
So
Yeah, of course. As soon as you start asking me questions, the server disconnected. Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
The ghost of everyone's mother-in-law over here.
it keeps on giving.
No comment.
That's right.
Yeah.
We edit all whenever you see mother-in-law, just like edit that out.
Yeah.
So we're all clear.
No, I'm gonna have a
Facts,
compilation.
Spike.
I'm gonna have a
Yeah,
compilation at
right.
the end of all the mother-in-laws.
Yeah. No, but listen, kind of circling back to what you were saying is I had Travis on for a conversation about this on my Instagram a couple nights ago, because this is something that I've struggled with in the past too. And Jason, it sounds like you're heading straight into this. Is like the holidays can be a very tough time if you have tough family.
Mm-hmm.
And what we talked about was just a quick, simple little outline of what to do before you go, what to do once you're there with family, and then what to do afterwards. And so I really loved all the advice that Travis shared. And if anyone wants to go check that out, we had a fantastic 30-minute conversation going into details. But in short, before going over to family, setting a game plan, making sure you're on the same wavelength with your spouse of like, okay, what are our boundaries? If Aunt so-and-so says this or does this, that's when the boundary is crossed and we need to remove ourselves from this situation. And then once you're there at the family's house or whatever, there's two different scenarios that could happen. There could be scenario A where your boundary is crossed and you need to do the hard, courageous, and brave thing of sticking up for yourself, loving yourself, and removing yourself from the situation if necessary, and in a polite and loving way. Or the second thing that I feel happens to me a lot is your boundary isn't officially crossed, but someone comes and like rubs up against it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not pushing you over the limit, and it's like like you're already going into that situation pretty anxious. But one of the things is you got to kind of go into that situation wanting to enjoy the good, wanting to have a good time with family and build relationships if that's your goal to do so. Yeah. But then like if people start to rub up against you, then maybe you don't explode. But then that's what's the crucial piece of the post visit, that my wife and I have had plenty of really healthy healing conversations in the 30-minute drive from her parents' house back to our house or something like that, where I get to say, hey, it made me feel really uncomfortable when so-and-so said this. Yeah. I feel like this is going to become a new boundary that we may need to set or have a future conversation with so-and-so about. Yeah. And even just being able to express my feelings, or my wife express her feelings after hanging out with my family or friends or whomever, is just and actively listening to your partner has been so helpful. And I was terrible at it. My first 3-4 years of marriage, 5 years, 6, even still into year 7, I'm not perfect at it. But just being able to listen and to focus on the needs of other people has helped even just build, circling back on the importance of relationships, has helped me so much just to actively listen to my spouse and for her to even just listen to me. Because it's not always that guys need to have this fixing complex. Sometimes we need to be listened to and validated too. And that's been extremely healing and healthy and helpful for me. And I didn't realize that until I started going to therapy years ago for different things. So,
But it sounds interesting, because it sounds like we can all identify that everything comes at a price. Everything has a cost associated with it.
Everything has a cost.
And even though we might get ourselves into debt over Christmas, we're getting ourselves into debt over Christmas because of the peer pressure and not understanding how our family may not enjoy doing certain activities and our own mental well-being. How we're like, my body's telling me no, but I'm still waking up at whatever clock in the morning to go do this travel, and I've got to get the car fixed because of the mechanic and whatever else. And for what? And then ultimately, you're going to get bankrupt unless you service that debt. And I think if you're not willing, we all pay back our credit cards and whatever else. But if we're not then talking to our spouse or significant other, our children, we're still in debt. Yeah. And that becomes a problem later on, because then that relationship becomes bankrupt later on. So it's only through talking it kind of becomes a bit apparent that we just need to really be mindful of what the true cost of everything is. It's not the sort of monetary gain or the financial loss. It's also the emotional, the physical, just the lack of time, the lack of me, the lack of respect to love you have for yourself, because you're letting people just kick that line like it doesn't exist. And just
Dude, I love that.
When I was in church a couple weeks ago, we had a thing where, because we're just now going back to, because we hadn't gone for a long while for many different reasons. It was during a political season, and for whatever reason, it was a lot of politicized stuff coming from up there. And I was like, you know what? I'm good. I was like, I'm good. This junk is not kind. This is not nice. It sucks. So I'm not going. And we just all made a concerted effort. We're not going to go. And so we just made our moments at home. And then we just started visiting another place. Well, Lillian is very precocious. She gets into things. She's a free spirit, and I'm not going to stomp that out just to make somebody else comfortable. I try not to. But we were at church. We was at church. I think it was the second week we're there. And so this guy's preaching and he's talking, and it's good. He's saying good, sensible freaking words. And Lillian stands up. She's like, "Can we go now?" He's preaching. She goes, "Can we go now?" It was the funniest expression. She goes, "Can we go now?" And I was like, "Okay, Lillian, you got to speak quietly." She's like, "He's been talking freaking long." But when she did it, she extended her hand. She was like, "He's talking freaking long." And I was there
he's our hero.
It was one of those things when when you're on the field and you go, you put on those noise canceling headphones. And I couldn't hear or see anybody else. It was just me and her. And I was like, okay, let's go out into the vestibule out there. And so I was like, come on. So we went out there and we kind of hung out there, played hide go seek while everybody was still in church. And then we went out to the car and I played some music for her. We were in the car listening to the Bluetooth until church was over. And I was like, man, my mother would have whooped my behind after the person sitting next to me would have whooped my behind. It would have just been the trauma on top of trauma sandwich. It would have been the worst. And I'm like, oh, when I grow up, I'm never going to go to church. That's how that would have set me up for it.
Exactly.
And I'm like, man.
But I love her confidence though. Her confidence though to do that. And the fact that you allowed her to be that way, that is brilliant, because the Bible tells you about the honesty coming out of children. So that preacher, man, he's probably thinking, boy, I should have shut up a long time ago, because God's talking to you for a child.
I did not look up. I was like, I could not see him. I went blind from here up. I was not going to look up there to have him see me. I was just like, come on, okay, honey, let's go.
We have been talking a while,
I would have gone back in.
I'm almost at Matt. It's going to take me a couple of years to get to Matt level confidence.
I would have gone back in, stood in line.
Man, you should have had the camera rolling.
Hey, man, great sermon. Great sermon.
Dude. Oh my gosh.
The camera rolling would have been even more. She would have known. She knows.
100%.
Yeah. No. So we were, it was just a raw emotion, and it wasn't unhealthy. It was just good. She got to get her feelings out. Yeah. And I admit that she's probably the only person that would express herself the way that she did in that setting. But I'm like, it's no difference to her. If she's in a movie, if she's in a church service, if she's in a funeral, it doesn't matter. If it's a place and there are people there and there's time.
When it's time.
And if we're here for too long, it's time to go. It's time to be out. And so it was I understand that. Because when I was a little kid, I was like, what the freak? Oh man, he just said the same scripture 5 times. Why? Why? I dig the guys that just get it done in 15 to 20 and we can be out.
Yeah.
But yeah, just being able to be that person or be in the space where we can help break those traditions of we just do this. You have to sit here. This is just what we do. To be able to hear that. And that's like, yeah, we don't need to be here. Come on, let's get up and go.
Yeah, man.
That's that boundary thing of, hey, if we're someplace and that thing may happen to us collectively, it's awesome to be able to talk about it with your wife.
Yeah.
But sometimes your kid's a little bit older and we can come and sit down and we're in the car driving back to the hotel and it's trying to, if we travel long distance, don't stay at the person's house, get a hotel. That's a boundary and it's important.
There you go.
But like to be able to get in a car and be like, hey, how did this make you feel? And everybody's able to say what they mean. And then we can bring a little bit of clarity and kind of introduce a little bit of nuance so they don't become binary with the way that they interpret a situation, good, bad kind of thing. I think that's really a really healthy roadmap. Like I appreciate that you put that out there so that we could see it and we can add our little bit of nuance to it to make a safe exit for our family from something that's not healthy.
I think one of the things that another thing that we've been talking about is normalizing emotions and normalizing feelings, because I know for me, myself growing up, it wasn't necessary. It wasn't okay to be angry. It wasn't okay to be frustrated. And for example, exactly what you did. Like I'm bored. Wow, what's going on here? And being bored is like totally fine. It's totally normal. Like kids don't want to sit through like an hour-long sermon or something like that. So like, and I love the phrase that I like to use is two phrases: positive parenting and conscious parenting, because being conscious about it, like, and breaking up fights between kids and things like that, it's normalizing emotion is just and validating our kids' emotions is so important to help us get to that end goal so that they want to come and hang out with us when we're a couple of super old dads that just sit on the couch and watch football and basketball, hockey in my case, all day, and and they're excited to come visit us. And so I think being able to have those conversations and do exactly what you did was a perfect example of how to handle a tough situation. It's so awkward when you've got all these eyeballs on you, because you could even say that happens at the park when your kid is like, going on the monkey bars and falls and starts screaming because they're in pain, instead of saying like, oh, shh, come on, you're okay. It's hey buddy, are you okay? Like, are you hurt? Can I help fix the situation? Totally different. And I love that this generation of parents are getting that, because I think it's going to pay dividends for generations to come.
For sure.
The fact that you guys are talking about it, it makes it more okay for us who would have tucked it away. Like I'm Generation X, so I'm that we tuck things away. And so the normalizing emotions, I'm learning that from younger people. I'm like, oh snap, that's okay now? We could, like, shoot, I could cry. I could
totally
cry. I could cry about something that's legit upsetting me, or I could cry about maybe I messed up with my kid on a particular day in the way that I reacted to something. It's okay for me to feel bad about that and then fix it, rather than, hey, that's just part of the deal. Take it or leave it. Like, it's been really eye-opening, and I appreciate the sharing.
So as we bring this to a close, I would like, I think Travis is frozen, so he might go out and come back in. But for those of us who are still fluid and not frozen, from everything that we've discussed tonight, what is something that you are able to get from our conversation that you could offer to another dad who will be hearing this? His circumstances might be whatever they are, but to kind of help him navigate this season that we're in order for him to just get by, man. What's a get by tool or piece of advice that you would give to a dad?
Shoot, from what I learned tonight, or what a takeaway from tonight would be to be mindful of the atmosphere that you cultivate
Mm.
because you're modeling that for your child. Be mindful of the atmosphere that you're tolerating
Mm-hmm.
because you're modeling that tolerance for your child as well. And to be aware of, or to just be thoughtful of a situation that you might get into that is a just because kind of situation. Do you really need to be there? Do you really want to be there? And if you don't, like, think about it. What's the benefit? If there's none, like, you might need to re-strategize how you're spending your time in the holiday season and with whom you're spending your time within the holiday season. The big takeaway I got from Matt is it's okay to be courageous enough to make your exit. And it's okay to be courageous enough to set your peace how you want it and not have it be disturbed tremendously by somebody coming into your area or coming into your situation. Like, this is what we do. This is us. This is our peace. You don't need to tolerate somebody just wrecking it just because it's the Christmas season.
Mm-hmm. Andrew?
Yeah, I think to get through some of the hard times that may arise, because, the holiday season, there's a lot of ups and downs, and the downs can be pretty low, especially if it's money related or relationship related. But I think one of the things I really gathered from this conversation is focus on the people that you see every single day, your kids, your partner, or those that are there in your household are so important during this time, because when you pay attention and are very mindful and conscious of being present, putting down your phone when you're stressful instead of reading the news, look at the smile and laughter on your kid's face. And when it just, when my son comes home from preschool and he goes, "Hey Dad, look at this cool turkey I made with my hand. There's a real feather on it." And, just validating them and being like, "That's so cool, bud. Let's go put it on. Let's go put it in my office. Let's go put it on the wall," or something like that. And really cherishing those little moments and finding gratitude for those moments, I think has really helped me during the hard times. Just unconditional love and gratitude.
Sweet.
Awesome.
I think Travis is trying to come back in, so he's going to have to refresh. So before you answer, Matt, I'm just going to tell him to go ahead and refresh so that he can come back in, and then you'll pick up.
Hopefully, I got the other recordings.
Yeah, it hasn't stopped recording. So,
Oh, weird. Mine just says 11 seconds. So we'll see.
So we're just asking for takeaways that we got from the conversation that we would be able to offer to another dad to help him get through the season as well. So go ahead, Matt.
I would probably say that talking to you guys, there's a lot of conscious and intentional fathers out there that are willing to walk a new path that may be different to what their fathers did in their own lives or other men in their own lives. And it's really encouraging to know that I'm not alone in that way of thinking. And I'm also mindful, as much as we're able to celebrate and be happy about all the things that we've learned, the family we've got, there are some people that are going through the not so pleasant time around this time of the year. And like I said before about it's okay to feel what you feel, it's still okay to feel what you feel. If Christmas is not a time for you, yes, try and be that light or focus on that light that's casting that shadow. But if you can't, just know there are people out there like us and many other people that are willing to listen to you, to have your, to hear your concerns, because we'd rather listen to your problems than attend your funeral, as the phrase goes. So I think it's just that brotherhood, that we're all going through something. We haven't got all, we got the ideas we're talking about, and some things manifest themselves within a conversation, but that could happen to them as well. So if it's not a good time for you, just talk it out, find someone, approach one of us, because we're on socials anyway, and we're happy to have the conversation. We can't have it with you. We're more than happy to signpost to someone that is probably better place to sort of help you out. But I think it's just a matter of a lot of good can come from talking to the right people that have the right intentions to support you. And that's what this has taught me. And I hope people take that away.
Well said, dude. Well said. Yeah, I think I have to echo pretty much everything that you just said. One of the things that I took away from our conversation tonight is this sense of, and everyone has said it already, this mindful approach to not just parenting and fatherhood, but particularly in this season and everything that we see both right and wrong about this time of year, right? Being intentional about how to forge a new path, a more meaningful path for our children, for our families. The other thing I want to say too is there are people, to Matt's point, there are people that this time of year is very difficult for them because of not just trauma, but also loss of relationships, unimaginable losses. And so while the season itself comes with this expectation of lights and jingles and happiness and gift giving and what have you, and in this mode of mindfulness that we've been talking about, we also should extend that to be mindful of that person that may not be as cheery as he or she is supposed to be, and extend all the empathy and love and warmth to that person in a way that they're able to receive it, and not by sort of castigating that person. Why aren't you happy? Or you should get over it, or any of those really hurtful and stupid things that could come out of our mouths. So those two things in particular are things that I want to say.
And guys, I'm really hoping this is recording because that's my timer started over. I'm hoping that it's in the Zencastr.
Mine's showing an hour 43.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So we'll see when I hit stop what happens. That's my hope and prayer. So if not,
Okay.
then it's going to be all about
Yeah.
vasectomies. Apparently, is all people are going to get.
That's
100%.
Yep.
It's going to be about vasectomies and our
Mother-in-laws.
takeaways and our takeaways.
Oh my God.
So because the whole middle's gone.
Yeah, take away the vasectomy.
Yeah, it's vasectomy, mud-laws, and takeaways. Hey, that's short and sweet. So yeah, my takeaway tonight really is just one. I mean, I'm just so thankful that we were able to do this, and gosh, man, I would love to do even offline, just have like group conversation with you guys, because you guys, it's so fun it's so rich to hear just such different perspectives, as well as such a unifying mission
Yeah.
that we are all trying. And the theme, among all themes, is we're all trying to be mindful dads, aware dads, intentional dads, involved dads, kind of taking the good of our childhood, doing our best. And I think of my interview with Jason, that because I've been listening to it and editing it, it's just like letting go of some of the negative echoes of our past.
Mm-hmm.
And creating something better and healthier for our kids to give like as a gift to them as they grow older. And the hope is that they're farther along than we are, whether it's our holiday traditions or just family traditions or just life traditions of what it means to be a good human, a good daughter, a good son in this world. And so I have been so blessed by hearing just all these perspectives. Like, it's just like, yeah, I'm not into everything everyone's saying, what Matt's saying, and Kelly and Jason and Andrew and Hector. It's like, yeah, like I want all these things. Like, I feel like we're all on that same wavelength, and it's so encouraging to hear a bunch of dads that just, we all care, like we do. And it's so cool just that we get to have these conversations. And again, thank you guys for your time, and blessings to all of your families, every single one of them, for your holiday seasons, whatever happens, and that you guys are able to have peace and enjoy and love and just a wonderful time, and to maybe let a little bit go of some of any stress that maybe we try to carry because we're supposed to, and say, maybe this year I don't do that. Maybe I say no to this thing, and maybe I focus on this instead. And, I'm trying to take that away too. Maybe there's something I could say no to that I don't need to go to, that I can just say, I'm going to focus on this instead. And so my hope is that you guys just have just a wonderful holiday season, and, a close one in 2 weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks for Thanksgiving, right?
2 weeks.
As we record this, 2 weeks. So,
Oh Lord,
I know.
I'll take your word for it.
So we're just, blessings on that, and good food and good laughs and good time, that you guys have a great time, and that's just enjoy your families, man. So I thank you all, and seriously, you guys have a great night and good morning for Matt. And I can't wait to do this again when we do our vasectomy episode. So
That's right.
come January 2022, you guys better get on the train and we're all getting it, and then
Matt, come on, Matt. Join the club,
I'll
bro.
be emailing you.
I don't know about that.
Or Matt could just be on and he'll just be the bearer of our stories, and he'll
There you
just
go.
hold that
There you
in a
go.
very safe space and say,
Yeah.
hey, this is a rich conversation.
There we go.
We'll give
So
him
much pressure.
we'll give him trickles of wisdom and what to prepare for. So yeah, you guys bless, man, and I thank you all.
Hey,
So
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
pleasure to
Yeah.
meet
Thank
you
you.
guys.